The JustSayan podcast.
Hayden, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Episode 2 of the JustSayan podcast. Excited to have you guys out there listening, viewing, whatever it is, and how you choose to check us out on Spotify or YouTube. I'm excited for this one. Long time coming. We've got our guest Hayden Harrington with us today. Just kick it back and have a nice, conversation. Get to learn a little bit about you, Hayden. I mean, we've been friends for a while now, but
long time. Yeah.
But yeah, man, tell us a little bit about yourself. What it is that you do, and how we got to know each other. Of course, we got our host today, Anthony Ortiz. So
excited for episode number 2. Excited to be doing it with a good friend, Hayden, and it's going to be a fun one.
Awesome. Well, yeah, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate the invite on the show.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And it's been a journey. Like you said, we met. What was that, back in 2018?
Yeah. So. We met back in 2018, and it was honestly, dude. I mean, it was super interesting, right? I mean. Look, we met back in 2018, and we haven't looked back since. And it was one of those things where, I think everyone has these connections, right, and friendships, but it just, the friendship just happened, and we've been friends, and now we do business together. We do Momentum is one of our clients, and it's been great, man. So.
Yeah, it's been a cool journey, and I think it all came together kind of by chance almost.
Yep.
Like, I was just getting my foot in the door in commercial real estate, and trying to just provide value to my business partner, and was trying to get people to events and come out and learn about investing in multifamily real estate, which is what I do. And you just happen to be one of the few people that responded, and I think I probably sent out thousands of messages trying to get people, and I could probably count on my hands how many people actually responded to me, and you were one of them. And it was cool. Like you said, you could just feel it. You could sense that energy through the computer almost. And you came out to, I think, our first networking event we ever did.
Yep.
And we just hit it off right then. And then you wanted to, after meeting you, obviously learn that you guys have a construction company. We're like, hey man, we want to work with good people. We have sponsorship opportunities and stuff like that, because we were trying to grow that networking event.
Yeah.
And I think you started sponsoring it at the second one we ever did, and it's gone from there. And it's been, we officed together for a time there, and
yep.
Got to see each other go through struggles and go through growth, and really be there for each other. And it was really cool. I remember when I first met you, I think it was when we were meeting at Communion.
Communion, yep.
Every
coffee
Monday.
shop there in Richardson.
Yeah, every Monday, and I was super excited, because I didn't have any traction in commercial real estate, because it takes a long time to get traction, and you still saw potential in me, and we wanted to help each other, and we'd meet at this coffee shop here in Dallas. Super early. I think it was 7 in the morning.
Like
we'd
7
get
in
there.
the morning every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just to strategize and
Yep.
throw stuff at the wall, see what's stuck, see what works, what doesn't. What are you dealing with? How do we help each other? Almost in the same boat.
Yep.
We were going after two different goals, right?
Because I was more or less in the same, like you said, same boat, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And look, going back to how we met, right? I remember it as clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
I was on what's the Meetup app?
Yeah,
the Meetup website on my laptop. It was 6 or 7 p.m. and I'm trying to find a way to network and see what multifamily things are out there that I could be part of, join, just go out and meet people, and completely out of my comfort zone, right? I was not great at going out to, you know, meet a bunch of strangers or people that I'm social, yes, and I'd like to meet people, but it's a little different in the networking setting, and it takes some time getting used to stuff like that. But I remember your message came across, and I was like, oh, heck yeah. And I replied to it, and yeah, like you said, you know, you felt a little different. And then I think 2 days after that we met. And,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it all came together. And then I think you were still in high school when you tagged along to one of those early coffee shop meetings.
Yep.
And I was blown away because I was like, man, somebody in high school has this sort of mentality, this sort of mindset, wants to come and just strategize and learn and kind of be a fly on the wall at that point. Obviously, you come to where you are now, and it's like you could be leading, you know, those conversations, right? And it was so cool to see somebody so young be so far ahead. You know, like it took me a long time to kind of develop that mentality, but you had it in you. I remember telling you after the fact, after I met Anthony, I was like, man, you gotta water that. Like you gotta nurture that, because that's rare and super uncommon. And when you see that, it's like you wanna support that, you wanna nurture that, and you know, to see how far you've come, it's incredible how far we've all come, really, since then.
All of us, yep, for sure.
Yeah, I remember that morning. You know, Ruben, I think he told me the night before. He's like, "Hey, I'm meeting up with this guy. He buys apartment complexes, and you know, meet up with him in the mornings, and just come and you know, ask him any questions. I know he'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have, and just meet him."
Right.
And I was super nervous because you know, when you presented it, it was like, "Hey, he buys apartment complexes." I was like, "Man, this dude's probably loaded." Like,
I never said right, like, "Hey, he's trying to buy apartment complexes."
No,
like,
no.
He's starting out, stuff like that. Because there's something that, you know, I believe in. Even, you know, I want to see people do good, so I kind of project what they're, you know, doing or see them doing, right? Yeah. Is obviously, and I've told you this before, Hayden. I mean, you know, and yes, we've all come a long way, and you know, we'll get into it in a little bit, but yeah, Hayden buys apartment complexes. Yeah. So.
And you know, when you told me that, my initial instinct was, you know, crap, like this dude's probably loaded. He's, you know, he's been doing this for a long time. He's not gonna care about any questions I have, or he's just gonna brush me off like, kid, get out of here. Like I'm too busy for this. It was my initial thought process when he told me that. Yeah. And then, you know, we got there and we started talking, and I remember, you know, we were there for like an hour. And after an hour, you know, Ruben, you abruptly were like, "Hey, I gotta go. Like, I have a meeting I have to get to. You know, you guys can continue the conversation." And I was like, "What the heck? Like, what do you mean continue the conversation? I have nothing to say to this guy. And he probably wants nothing to do with me." And you know, you got up and left, and I remember, you know, internally I was like, "All right, you know, whatever. Ruben's gone. Like, I'm here. I don't want to make this more awkward than it probably already is going to be for this guy. So I'm just going to ask, you know, super basic questions that come to my mind." And the thing that stood out immediately was, you know, one, like how you answered the question so genuinely. The questions that I asked, you answered genuinely, and you didn't make me feel any sort of way of how I thought I was going to feel. You know, you made me feel heard, you made me feel seen, and that was something that stuck with me. And honestly, like, kind of gave me that confidence to say, okay, like, I can have these conversations with these people. I can be in these rooms, instead of just kind of that self-doubt creeping in and immediately shutting it down.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think, and I you pointed something out, and I think that's a great quality, right? It's a great leadership quality. When you're having a conversation with someone, regardless of who it is, that you're present, you hear them and you see them.
Yeah.
Right. And I you know, some people don't have that. Some people do. I think that's quality that, you know, we all share. Which,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously helps out.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can. Everybody can provide value, right? And now the position I'm in, we've got probably just around 50 employees or so. Yeah. And some of the most valuable information can come from people that are lowest on the totem pole. You know, so it's like you got to treat them all equally. For one, for us, we want to build leaders, right?
Yes.
Like that's what we want to convey through our team is we want you to work up through the chain too. Yeah. We want to see you grow and support that, and we want to convey that to them on a regular basis so that they want to be a part of what we're trying to build, right? Yeah. We're trying to really get them to buy in to the vision that we're trying to create.
Right.
I had a friend who had worked for Chick-fil-A for a long time, and he told me something that really stuck, and he said, they do a lot of casting the vision. You got to cast the vision, and that really stuck with me, and really resonated with me. And it's like, it doesn't matter who you're interacting with. You know, we can all provide value. We all have, we're all worth hearing out and
Right.
can bring stuff to the table. You know, and we can all support each other. So you got to treat each other with an equal amount of respect. And you never know, like I
That's
mentioned,
right.
like
You never know, dude.
yeah, like
Where that next, good idea or that little seed's going to come from.
or where somebody's going to go,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like they may start out, on site. A porter is kind of the lower position at a apartment community, and they may end up, running huge properties and being lead maintenance, maybe even a regional maintenance. So
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
tons of growth.
I've been in the industry for a while, and I've seen it. And just so everyone knows, a porter's like entry level. You're walking the grounds, cleaning the grounds, just doing basic stuff. And I've seen it several times where this guy started as a porter on this property we were working on. Then 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, you run into them again, and now they're regional manager or construction manager, running a whole entire portfolio, handling capex, all that stuff. So you never know. So, dude, before you became this multifamily operator, have thousands of units under management, what were you doing before that? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
What do you do? What are your hobbies?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll take you back. So I grew up in the Woodlands, Texas, so it's on the north side of Houston, and was the Woodlands. It was competitive by nature, big schools and everything. So played sports all through that, and my dad, I worked a lot closely with him on the real estate side too. So about every other year, he'd pick up a rental property, and then he didn't trust contractors. Sorry to say that, but he was an engineer too, so he wanted to do everything himself, right?
Yeah.
He's just one of those types of guys, and so I was his contract labor at the time.
Yeah.
So he would drag me into all his projects, and we'd be renovating, rebuilding houses together, right? And so that was my exposure to it really young. As a teenager, we were doing that together. So kind of all through my childhood, was involved, here and there, just helping him with projects and busting up floors and knocking down walls and managing rentals. I've got a lot of memories where, we just go together and go clean out the gutters on a house and get it ready for the tenant, or if they had an issue, like doing that sort of stuff. So it had never really registered to me as a kid, something that I really wanted to do long term, because I was so focused on sports at the time.
Yeah.
But
What sports did you play?
played baseball really all through my life, and it was just year round all the time. And so when that ended, I still had that mentality though. Like I wanted to work towards something. I wanted to build something, right? And out of college, I actually dropped out of college because I realized that, the classes I was in, I did well when I was there, but I just didn't learn that way.
Yeah.
And
Dude, did you feel any type of way after you dropped out? And I'd say this because, I tried community college.
yeah,
And I literally tried it for like a week or two, and it wasn't for me.
yeah.
But I couldn't help that feeling of, man, I need to go to college. How are people going to believe what I'm, trying to do?
Yeah.
Am I not going to have credibility? And it was a feeling that I had for for a while, and then realized, for me, it didn't work out. I don't necessarily need any. And for what I'm trying to do, I don't necessarily need college.
Right.
And I don't need to go to college to continue educating myself and continue learning.
Yeah, I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't feel some of that,
Yeah.
because that was natural, especially when your parents are telling you to get back to school, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was at, and so yeah, it was natural to experience those feelings, and like, am I getting left behind? That's
Right.
something that I really was plagued with for a long time, because it takes a lot of time to gain any sort of traction when you're trying to get something off the ground, when you're
Yeah.
trying to build a brand, right? Just to get people to take a chance on you to do a project or sell your product to them, like, it takes a tremendous amount of work,
It
right?
does. Yes.
And so to do that to enough to where you can actually get traction, to pay yourself enough to provide a living, and then start to hire employees, it's just a tremendous amount of work, takes a tremendous amount of time. And so while that was happening, it was a mental inner battle the
Right.
entire time of trying to combat those thoughts of, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you need to go and follow the traditional path. I mean, every day it's a battle.
Yeah.
You're dealing with that, and you're seeing on social media and talking with your peers of how their life is going, right? And you feel, at least I felt back then, like I was getting left behind,
Yeah.
right? But that's where I think your why, your reason is so important, because that is what's going to drive you through those darker moments, right? And help you overcome those insecurities and doubts, and keep you on the path that you're meant to be.
Right.
I think we all have the ability to be great at something. It's just our job to find out what at the end of the day. So it took me a while and some trial and error, and I did some things that didn't succeed, but I eventually found my path. And it's still taken a tremendous amount of work, but every step of the way, I think you have those thoughts and feelings, because there's always another level too, right? With every level of success, you're going to realize there's another level, and
Yep.
somebody else
Yeah,
doing
the
more.
challenges are different. Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, it's going to push you as an individual. You're going to have to grow in ways that you never would have imagined, and that's what I've come to learn to love, honestly, because you've got to learn to love expanding your comfort zone. Otherwise, as an entrepreneur, it's probably not going to work out. to be
It
honest.
more than likely isn't going to work out. And you're right. You've got to, in some sort of way, yes, learn to love the challenge. Learn to love being out of the comfort zone. And understand that it's part of growing, and it's part of being an entrepreneur. So
I remember when you came to our first networking event.
bro,
And how nervous you were.
I remember
right?
when I went to your first networking event, I was super nervous.
Yeah, and it was funny because we were, I think, both overcoming the same thing at
Yep.
the same time. Like, I was a very shy kid growing up. I was the one, when they want to call on readers in the classroom, I'm putting my head down like, please, dear Lord, don't pick me, sort of thing. And I was just so nervous, because I think I'm hard on myself to begin with. And I would kind of project that and assume that others would be hard on me as well.
Right.
And so as a result, I was very shy kid. I kept everything inside. And so speaking in front of people, doing public speaking, being kind of an authority figure was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And that first networking event when we met, I think we were both kind of overcoming, expanding our comfort zone literally at the same time.
Yeah, we were, and look, that was very different for me. I was super nervous. My hands sweat in general. I mean, you can't.
And they were
see them
dripping
now,
at the
but they were
networking
dripping,
event.
dude. Oh, so
I remember.
nervous. But it was something that subconsciously, like, I knew that I had to expose myself to, and meet more people and network, if I wanted to, go to that next level. And I don't think it's something, well, especially networking, right? It's not something that I can tell you it's, just super easy now. There's always that little small feeling of being uncomfortable, but just like anything else, the more you do it, repetition, right? Getting out there, it does get a little easier. And now, I know you've spoken on stages, I've been on stages, talking in front of, 30, 40, 50, 100 people, and I look back and I'm like, man, how did I go from, you know, being super nervous, being around, you know, 10 people, and now I'm doing this? Well,
Yeah.
just, you know, repetition and practice and just getting over that, overcoming that fear of, you know, being embarrassed or saying the wrong thing. People are gonna, when you're up there, you know, it doesn't really matter. But,
Yeah. And the funny thing too is once you get a taste for what's outside the boundaries of your comfort zone, then you want to like explore that and see, okay, where does this lead? What can I be? What potential do I really have?
Yeah.
So you do, Ironmans. You know, you've done half
Not a full.
half Ironman, but you know, regardless, that training is insane. It's very rigorous. And talk about, you know, obviously that involves mentally going out of your comfort zone, physically going out of your comfort zone. How does that play a role in what you do in your day to day?
Yeah, good question. I think for me, you know, some physical goals help me to reveal like aspects of my potential too. That's just how I choose to explore that, and I think it's a easy way for me to reaffirm that yes, there is more potential, and when you set goals and you break it down into bite-sized chunks, you can achieve a lot more than you thought capable.
Yep.
And you know, physical goals are tangible. You know, they're not like some other goals out there are trying to build a company and all that stuff. Where day to day you may not see a whole lot of growth, but you go and do a workout, you'll feel that pretty immediately, right?
Yep.
And so for me, you know, when I set I was never much of a runner, and even anything more than a 5K, I was like, man, I just don't see how I'm going to do that, right? Consistently, or not have to walk or anything like that. And the more you do it, the more you realize, okay, this isn't so bad. And then you do a 10K, and then you do that, and you realize, hey, I can do that. That wasn't so bad. And you do a half marathon, and you kind of work up to it, and you start to realize that with consistency, you know, we have an incredible ability to normalize anything.
Yeah.
So the more you do something, like you had said, the more you get used to it, the more that becomes your new normal. So you can constantly set new normals for yourself by setting incremental goals and just being consistent with it. For me, I always say, you don't have to go A to Z, you just got to go A to B. You know, that's the best way. If you want to get to Z, it's one step at a time. Right?
That's and I 100% agree. Right, it's one step at a time, A, B, C. I think where, you know, a lot of us end up, I guess, you know, going wrong, or, you know, end up saying, man, no, this is too much, it's too hard. We try to go from A all the way to Z in one huge leap.
Yeah.
And it rarely does it work out.
Yeah.
If we don't get to Z immediately, it's all right, I'm done with this.
Yeah,
I'm done trying. There's no point.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go do something else.
Dude, I remember when, you know, because I've, you know, Anthony's also an athlete, and I've always been involved in, you know, sports and working out and stuff like that. But I remember when you started doing training for your half Ironman, and I'd done like a little sprint. I'd done a sprint.
Sprint try?
A sprint try before.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't complete the swimming the first time, but I remember when you started training, I was like, Hayden, I'm gonna do one. So, you know, I committed to doing one, and it was rough. I did a sprint try, but, you know, I almost drowned, literally in the, you know, during my competition. But, you know, seeing you train for that motivated me to get in, actually complete one, regardless of me almost, you know, drowning in the pool. But yeah, it's just.
At least you completed it.
At least I completed it.
You made it through.
Yeah, and again, you know, those same things were going through my mind when, you know, I did the first lap. It was 6 laps in a 100-meter pool, or lanes, and I got through the first 2 laps with regular strokes. So I'm feeling good. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I finally learned how to swim. I'm gonna finish this. And then 3rd turn, I was like, dude, this is, it just hits you like a
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah,
And I was like, man, I can barely move my arms, my feet. I'm literally, I'll just drown if I can't finish it. But I said, no, I'm gonna finish it. I committed to finishing. Got on my back and just finished it with a backstroke. I was literally just, whatever, 2 kicks, whatever I could do. But there was no option to quit, and it taught me something about myself. It's like, hey, I don't negotiate with my commitment once I've committed to something. And if I'm gonna finish it, if I said I was gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So there's things that those adversities, or when you expose yourself to something super hard or super uncomfortable, teach you about yourself that maybe you knew but weren't very clear on. So.
And then Hayden, so one thing that stands out to me when, I hear your story is just, like consistency, right? It wasn't like you found a magic answer, you found the magic cheat code. It was always just consistency, compounding the lessons, the wins, the losses. And that's, what got you to where you are now, right? And I know I'm calling back to you talking about the networking event, how that was, you were trying to provide value to your now business partner. Can you talk a little bit about that and, what you had to do and what that took to get in with your business partner?
Before we get into that, so, obviously met Hayden and we officed for a little while before he moved back to Houston. And, I've got to first look at what that looks like, right? Knowing that certain things aren't working out, because there was challenges that were coming up, through COVID, before COVID, and just the challenges that come with starting something from the ground up, and just seeing the consistency, right, day in, day out, coming in, showing up, rain or shine, getting rained on, stuff like that, literally, but just the consistency. And that's something that, always stuck out. It's like, man, okay, consistent, committed, disciplined, eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
And, especially with like, commercial real estate having such a high like barrier to entry, with you, like being able to see that real time, just the consistency and where that got you, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. Like you said, that's what I liked about commercial real estate, is it had a high barrier to entry. So, you're not competing with a new person every day like a lot of businesses are. So that's what I liked about it. But on the flip side, you got to deal with, trying to find your way in, right? And so, yeah, it was really hard. I mean, it took over 2 years of every day, like you said, coming in, showing up, staying late. Literally working sun up to sundown. And I remember there was one point I was living on somebody's couch. I was homeless basically. I was thinking about sleeping in the office. We had a shower in the back room, and I was like, hey, I could make this work. But
it's so, I mean, it's so funny, dude, because it's those things that people that are looking on the outside in now don't ever realize. And these are things, I think a lot of times people think, man, it was easy. It's easy, right? If this guy's doing it, I can do it. And sure, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying no, but there's a lot of little things that happen. There's circumstances, there's, things that happen when you're, again, trying to build something from the ground up that a lot of people never get to see or experience.
Yeah, like you'll never find me claiming to be self-made, because there's so many people that have helped me along on my journey too. And then two, I'll never claim to be the smartest one out there. And I don't have a above average IQ, but I do think I have an above average work ethic and above average belief in myself, and understanding that belief in what I'm capable of when I set my mind to something.
Right.
I'm the type of person that if I'm not 100% in, I'm not even going to try to pursue it. I need to be 100% in. I'm not going to chase shiny objects or anything like that, because I know I read a book one time. It's funny, when I dropped out of college, that was I started reading, and that was the first time I'd ever probably read a book cover to cover. It was when I dropped out of school, because I was like, I'm going to start learning about what I want to learn about, right? What would interest me, rather than being, told how to think, what to think, so forth. And I read a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talked about how they basically proved that it takes 10,000 hours to become, a professional top in your class, the best of the best, basically. And when I read that, like a light bulb went off in my head, and you just reverse engineer that and realize, well, how long is that going to take me to realize these goals if I want to be the best at something? If you spread yourself across multiple things and you want to be the best in all of them, that's 10,000 hours a piece of consistent effort. So after I read that book, that really helped me align my focus and say, okay, I want to go all in on this, and I'm going to start just banking hours and try to get to that 10,000 hours as quick as I can. And I just had that, I think, above average belief in myself that I'm going to figure it out. I never, even when I was sleeping on somebody's couch, I was homeless, like, I never felt bad for myself.
Right.
Because I knew it was part of my story, part of my journey. I want to be in this situation. Nobody else is forcing me to be in this situation.
I think that's a common, at least the people that I've met that are successful, somewhat successful. Even through the struggles, they'll tell you, I never felt bad for myself. I never tried to play the victim. It was just I knew what I needed to do, regardless of the circumstance that I found myself in. And I think that's a common theme of just, hey, it is what it is. It's part of my journey. It's part of doing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna see it through. And there will be better days. And I think we've all heard this, or you say this every once in a while. This too shall pass, right? So.
Yeah, something that helped me is, I'm a big believer that there's good and bad in everything, right? And when you start to look at life and circumstance through that lens, when you go through a tough situation, if you have that belief, then you turn to, okay, I see the bad, right? I get it, but where's the good? And you start trying to focus on shifting your focus away.
The lens changes.
Yeah, exactly. It changes your perspective on things. And instead of focusing on, oh, poor me, it's, oh, how can I use this to serve me, right?
And that's something that we've instilled in saying it's, hey, okay, we get it. We're gonna, we're doing all types of projects, nationwide, and we understand that things are gonna happen. But it's never a, oh man, this sucks, or no, it's how, okay, how can we fix it? How can we solve this problem? And how can we make it right?
Yeah, I feel like that was probably one of my biggest learning moments in the industry when I came into it and kind of started, my career was, and you would tell me all the time, hey, like, high stress threshold, like that is, if I'm going to attribute anything to some of my success, it's having a high stress threshold and consistently trying to raise that as much as I can. Because like you said, problems happen all the time. Things are going to happen, especially in our industry, but it's who's going to keep their composure, and instead of, freaking out, like we see a lot of these construction guys like yelling at their crews or yelling at people, and that's how they think things get done. It's, okay, keep my composure. Where's the solution? Where's the good? And how can we move past this? Instead of, dwelling in the negative and, like you said, feeling bad. Oh, why did this happen to me? Oh, this sucks. Like, no, where are the solutions? Where's the good?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, in business especially, like, there's always going to be problems, right? It's a constant flow of solving problems. And so at the end of the day, if you're unable to focus on the good or just see things for how they are, then you're just going to drown yourself in problems, and it's going to wash you out of the industry at some point. And we've seen a lot of that right now. Like, in our industry, it's very tough right now. It's been very tough for the last few years, And we've seen a filtering process happen where, not as many people are coming around to the networking events nowadays because they...
It's not fun to go out right now and talk about,
It's been tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
So, dude, to that, right? Okay, so, we get it. We're in the industry, so we know what's kind of, happened since COVID and interest rates and all that stuff. So what's been the biggest, I guess, what's been one of the biggest challenges for you through this, and, one of the biggest, positive outcomes of it, learning lessons?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. And, one of the biggest challenges has definitely been, it all goes back to the mental game, honestly, is, being steady in the storm, right? Because we've went through a global pandemic, obviously, which nobody had any experience operating apartments or anything, or all businesses went through a learning curve on how do we operate, how do we deal with this, right? How does our workforce sustain operations when there's a quarantine in place, right? So it was new for everybody, and extremely challenging. And then on the backside of that, we had the Fed hike interest rates at a historic pace, and we had inflation, and it's taken a lot longer than anybody anticipated for all of that to come down and for interest rates to ease some. And it taking a long time has really drawn out a lot of pain because you have maturities on loans and so forth, and on the backside of inflation, you have declining rents. You have, a lot of your cost had risen as well, your insurance cost, your labor cost, your material cost. And so you had everything against you, really, since the pandemic. Since the pandemic, everything kind of went against you. The one positive was, with the inflation rising, we had a period of rising rents pretty quick too, but that quickly fell off and turned to declining rents too. So two totally different environments to operate in, and we're finally getting to a point where we're starting to see some of the headwinds turn to tailwinds. And, so it's basically 6 years of just roller coaster of what's coming around the next corner, right? Of how do we operate?
That's crazy, dude, that it's been 6 years of that.
6 years, yeah.
And we thought, I remember when it first happened, we're like, it's going to be, a year or two, and then things will get back to normal. It's been 6 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my business partner, Dustin, he always kind of jokes with me, and, he always says I got my start at a very interesting and challenging time. So that's what I got brought into this industry with is a global pandemic.
You're a seasoned operator.
Yeah, we've seen a lot at this point.
Yeah.
But just being able to, again, stay steady in that storm mentally is very, very challenging. And to be optimistic and find solutions when problems do arise, it's challenging because it can be a lot. We've got 8 communities, a little over 1,800 units in Houston, and that's 1,800 families.
Yep.
It's a lot of people that we're responsible for and want to provide the best housing we can. And it's just when you get to that size, it's always something, right? And so like I was saying, it's every business. It's just constantly solving problems, right?
Do you remember? Okay, so going back a little bit to when you were, you got your first deal in Houston, and now, hey, I have my first deal. It's exciting, right? Do you remember what the first maybe surprise or challenge of owning a multifamily property was?
Yeah, I got a quick intro to that. Actually, the first week we had closed on that property, and granted, it's a newer property. It was a 2012 vintage. So at the time, it was only a handful of years, 6-7 years old when we bought it, and so it was kind of a newer asset and in great shape and in a good part of Houston. And I wanted to go out and see it in the evening at nighttime. What does it look like at night? And so I'd gone out there and I was all excited. I was going to take some photos and everything. And I immediately see somebody having a barbecue on their patio with flames up to the ceiling on their covered patio. And nobody is watching that. And it's a windy night, and it's one of those like Coleman, barbecue grills. And I was like, that thing's about to tip over, and this whole building's going to go.
That is one of the biggest fire hazards that people don't realize, having a grill on your patio, and it's
a big no-no.
Yeah,
it's always the first question we ask when we get a call, like, oh, we just had a fire building, can you come look at it? And it's like, well, did someone have a grill on their patio?
Yeah.
And it's like, more likely than not, they did.
Yeah, it's, and especially that night, it was super windy, so it was kicking up the flames and everything, and I was just, because I've seen too many of those stories, I'm like, this thing's going to tip over and light the whole patio up, and that whole building's going to go down.
Yeah.
And that's what was running through my head literally the week that we had bought this deal. So I had immediately had a panic attack on, we got to get this resolved. And that was, welcome to the apartment industry.
Yeah.
And you'll hear this saying a lot with people that are operators or in the business, is the work really starts when you close the deal.
Yep.
So it takes a ton of work just to get it and actually close on it. But when you actually take over ownership, that's when it really starts, and that's where the real work starts. So, yeah, it's been a crazy journey, seen a lot of interesting things, but it's great. It's a really fulfilling and rewarding industry.
Yeah.
You get to work with a lot of great people, and at the end of the day, you're providing housing for people. So we take that very seriously. My business partner, his son, his name is Henry, and that's our brand in Houston, is the Henry. So we're putting his name up all over Houston, and we've got a lot of pride in that brand, and we want residents and prospects, everybody, employees, we want everybody to feel that.
Henry, for his show and tells, is going to do property tours. He's going to bring the class over to one of the.
He's going to have
one
some
of the
cool
communities.
show and tells. Let me tell you.
And that's, again, being in the industry and seeing different groups that are doing what you guys are doing. I think the one thing that stood out to me, very early on, was how you guys, while yes, very knowledgeable and you guys have some great deals, it was never pushing out like, oh, we have the greatest deals, we're promising you the best returns, like some groups do. It was always, hey, we like to do deals with good people, we're honest, and that's what we're about. It was never just, oh, we're going to give you this crazy multiple and promising these things that, weren't always true.
Look, we're on, we get to work on a lot of your deals, and, get to experience how you guys operate your deals. And I mean, I think any investor or someone who's thinking about, potentially or possibly investing with you guys or teaming up with you guys, I mean, a team, you and Dustin, seriously.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Having good people in your corner is key, especially in tough businesses. Like you had mentioned, on your side of the business, it's a lot of stress too. You guys have a lot going on, demanding deadlines and clients, and having high thresholds is key, and also having good people to lean on is key.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's something that I've always been adamant about, really all my life, but even more so in business, is teaming up with the right people. It's easy to get excited, right? Oh, a new deal, a new project.
Yep.
And just come together to make a bunch of money and stuff like that. It's easy to do that, but there was too many times that I can't even count when Dustin and I were first working together, and we saw people come together and do deals, and then 6 months later they've gone separate ways, and they're not working together. They're not talking to each other, right? And that's not what I wanted, and so I really wanted to focus on who I surround myself with. We even developed a little slogan internally. We just want to do good deals with good people. Yeah. That's what we're focused on.
How did you meet, your business partner, Dustin? Was it, were you out seeking him out? Did it just happen?
Yeah.
And how has that relationship kind of evolved?
Yeah, good question. So, yeah, I was seeking out anybody in the commercial space because at that time I just wanted to. I knew proximity's power, right? I want to get around people that are doing deals, around people that are experienced, because I didn't have any experience in the commercial space. So I just wanted to be in the room. Like I wanted to be that fly on the wall, just listening and absorbing, and being around it so that I can speak the lingo and understand it a little better, and all of that. So I had reached out to him and heard of him in DFW. The multifamily networking up here is just really strong at the time. There was events all the time, so I was trying to go to every event that I possibly could.
Right.
I'd connected with Dustin, and I just asked him. I was like, "Hey, man, can I take you out to lunch? Like, let me buy you lunch, and I just want to ask you some questions. I want to get to know you a little bit better, right?" And so I did that. I think I did that twice actually, and we just started to get to know each other, and we could see that we had similar values and got along really well, and we kind of had complementary skill sets too, which I think are powerful because if you have the same skills, you just end up butting heads, right?
Right.
And I remember on the second time that went to have lunch with him, I'd had this idea because I'd gone around to all these local networking events, and I had that light bulb moment where I was like, okay, all the people that are doing deals are running these events, and I would stop and look around at all these networking events, and I'm like, these are investors. This is, when you look at it a little different, this is a pool of equity that you can educate and present yourself as an authority figure and then raise money from. That's value, right? You can extract value from a room if you put together the right circumstances, right? And I saw that when I started to look at networking like that, I had a paradigm shift. And so that's when I came to Dustin a second time, and I was so nervous to present the opportunity because I knew I was going to have to speak in front of people if I help host a networking event, right? You can't have the host in the back of the room. It doesn't work like that, right? I almost talked myself out of bringing it up. But like we touched on earlier, it's just like, man, I don't want to be confined to the boundaries of my comfort zone for the rest of my life.
Yep.
I need to I kept telling myself, I need to just try. And if it goes horrible, like, okay, I'll chalk it up and move on to the next thing, right? But like, I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try.
Right.
And so I just needed to see, just for my own sake. And so worked up the courage to present the idea, and he was like, for whatever reason, I still don't really know, but he said, yeah, let's do it, because he had a reputation on the line, right? He had done 10 deals prior to us teaming up, so he was known in the space. He had a reputation, and I was a nobody. But I was young, and I was hungry, and I had a lot of energy, and I was like, hey man, I want to do something a little different than everybody else is doing it. And for whatever reason, he said, let's try it, And I said, just show up, let me do everything else. And I wanted to make him look good because I knew if I did that, he would see value in me.
Right.
And so you can't lie to yourself and say, I can't justify a seat at the table without providing value. Right?
Yep.
You can't get a seat without bringing something to the table, right? And I learned that really by trial and error because I offered to work for free for a bunch of people and got shot down probably a half dozen times.
A lot of times it's more of a, not that they do it because they don't want to help, but it's maybe more work to do that than to actually, have someone work for free.
100%. And it took me a lot of no's to understand that. Yeah. And I still see we get people approach us, and that's their first offer too. And I advise against that, because when you start to look at it again from their perspective, put yourself in their shoes, you start to realize, oh, I'm gonna bring somebody new in that doesn't know anything, and I'm gonna have to teach them everything. I'm actually the one giving them the value, not the other way around. So you have to solve that problem. That's the initial phase of like how you crack into any industry or how you get a seat at the table, is solve the problem of how do I provide value to somebody that's already active in this space. Yep. And for me, that was through doing networking a little bit different, putting the spotlight on him, because I knew if I'm right next to him, little bit of that's going to rub off on me,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm going to start to get known, and it's just a long game. You know, just commit to the process. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to be an expert overnight. So when I was, you know, introducing and then put on a speaker, we'd have topics going. I'm in the back of the room learning, taking notes with
Right.
everybody else, right? I'm trying to get up to speed, where they say like, building the airplane as it's on the way down, right? That's where I was at. And so it was just, you know, kind of drinking through a fire hose, trying to absorb everything as quick as I possibly can. And just trying to be around people that are doing what I want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And over time, that evolved into, you know, just running around looking at deals, starting to learn how to underwrite, starting to talk to brokers, starting to talk with investors, working with guys like you and putting together CapEx budgets. I remember you would drive me around and we'd go look at properties.
We'd drive around, look at properties. We'd practice being on camera.
Oh yeah.
Talking on camera.
Yeah, filming each other and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, filming each other. I mean, because, you know, we knew eventually, right?
Right.
We'd be doing it.
It's that belief that it's like, I'm not where I want to be, but that's not going to stop me from going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
Because like with practice, you get better, and it's just a matter of repetition at the end of the day. I think if you look back and you don't cringe a little bit about how you used to be, it's like
I
then
can't
you're not
even
growing.
look back at some of those videos.
That means you've grown,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You weren't really trying if you don't look back and cringe
Yeah,
just a little
seriously.
bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, dude, that's what's awesome about, you know, examples like yours, right? That's real and raw. Because I think now, you know, we live in a time where social media, you know, you scroll on your phone and you see some 18-year-old doing it, or you know, it's so easy to compare.
Yeah.
Right? Like why am I not there? You know, how is he doing it, but I'm not doing it?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you don't see a lot of the, you know, what truly got them there, the back end work, the days in,
work,
the days
actual
in, days
day-to-day.
out.
Yep.
You know, the long nights, you
For
know,
sure.
all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's that quote. I think it's comparison is the thief of joy, and it's
Yep.
so relevant. It's so true. And you know, unfortunately, everybody's addiction to social media is only making that harder and harder to achieve our own individual goals, because we're constantly comparing ourselves against others. So, yeah, you just gotta, and that goes back to really getting started, trying to get that traction.
Yeah.
You gotta push all of that out, right? Because you gotta focus on, where am I at? What do I want to do? I don't need to worry about what else is going on in the world or where other people are at, because that's only going to just distract me, but also it's going to put me in a negative headspace that's not really conducive to me achieving my goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you're starting something out like that and you're serious about it, right? You've got to put blinders on. I mean, you've got to have that one-track mind for a certain amount of period, and then you can start kind of, you know, looking around and seeing what's going on or what else you can do, stuff like that. But yeah, I think, you know, having that just focus on what it is that you're trying to build.
Yeah, if anybody wants to get something off the ground, I think that should be like, you know, write that all over your journal or put it on your wall, just the word focus, right? And for me, like, I love the book Outliers. Highly recommend everybody read that, because when you just reverse engineer it, it's like, okay, this is going to take me years if I do every single day worth of effort on this, right? And so you've got to be willing to, am I willing to sign up for the next 5 years of every single day putting forth, you know, 8 hours worth of effort towards this goal?
Right.
If no, do something else, right? If yes, pursue it.
Do it. That's awesome. Dude, so, okay, you're obviously, you know, professionally, you guys have a little over 1,800 units, Houston, you know, deals. What are your goals? What are Momentum's next steps? What are the goals for 2026?
Yeah, so this year we've been buying up to about 2 deals a year. A big goal for us is to get up to 4. So 1 a quarter, that's our next big goal. And just the logistics of achieving that, it takes quite a bit. You need just more people involved, so bringing more people onto the team. big goals for us, we don't, at least me personally, I'm not big on, I used to do this where I'd have goals for the years, I'd write them all down, right, and be super detailed and super specific on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get to the end of the year and realize I didn't come close to any of these goals, right?
Yeah.
And for one, I probably set too big of goals, but two, it adds, I think, unnecessary pressure sometimes too.
Yeah.
And then it can very quickly turn to baggage and then burnout.
Right.
And so for me, I like to set more higher level goals, just like that. Like, how do we solve the problem of doing a deal a quarter? That's our next goal. Because we could do a deal about every 6 months. You don't need any overlap. But overlapping a deal where you're finishing out a raise for one deal and you're getting the new one under contract, just solving that problem is difficult. Yeah. And takes a lot of logistics. You're going to need more people involved and so forth. So for me, like that's kind of how I like to look at it is how do we get to that next level? And that's really my sole focus.
Yeah.
Everything that comes along with that, when it comes to deal size, assets under management, all that, that's secondary, right? Yeah. So for me, I just want to focus on how do we build an organization to sustain a little bit more growth than we've done in the past. That's our next big thing. Hire another team member, again, to support that is a huge goal. And
right.
That also kind of translates to, for me personally, I want to continue to grow as a leader. Yeah. And then invest into our team members to help them do the same. That's a big goal for me. So just like the energy of meetings, like after every meeting I've been assessing, how did that call go?
Yeah.
How's the energy and the mood on that call? Were people excited? Did we leave them in a worse mood than when they got on the call, right? And so I'm just like assessing that day after day, week after week, and it's kind of working towards that bigger goal of I want to change the energy at our company to lift, the culture up a notch.
Uplift. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big goal for this year, to really pouring into more of that, because I've just really over the years seen the value in that.
Yeah.
And it's, again, one of those things. It's like on the journey of any entrepreneur, I think delayed gratification is a skill that you need to develop. Mm-hmm. And it's another one of those things where if I pour into you today, I'm not going to see immediate results from that, right? But over time, consistently doing that, then you start to see your interactions with your clients and your peers, and then that has a ripple effect, right? So it's that delayed gratification, and again, trusting the process.
Right.
So that's what I want to do a lot more of, and what I'm focused on this year, kind of where we're at. Obviously, like, we've got a big long-term goal. Like, I'd love to be a Camden, like a national brand, have communities all across the country.
You will. I'm saying it here. You will.
One day we'll
I'm
get
just saying. You will.
Just saying. Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Yep.
And I just like to let that. I always say with any goal, if I don't, again, the whole A to Z thing. If I can't see where B is, I just let that rattle around in my brain and say, this is my goal. I'm going to let the universe kind of figure it out for me, and I'm going to just take some effort in that general direction until I can see that next step, right? And that's all I care about. I don't need to see the next half dozen steps laid out for me. I just want to get to the next one.
To the next one, and we've talked about it before, right? We set our target, we set our goal, whatever you want to call it, and the path is very rarely a straight shot.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to go all over the place, but ultimately, as long as you have your target set in mind, regardless of the path, sometimes it may take you down a path that you don't even. You're like, man, where is this going? And why? And then, you fast forward and you end up where you need to go, and you hit your target, you hit your goal, but it took a completely different path that you thought you were going to go down. So
I think that's super common, right? Is the path to get to where you want to go. Normally you end up in the same spot where you want to go, right? But the path to get there, you never see it coming.
Yep.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
For me, it's always cool hearing those stories of entrepreneurs when they're on, the come up, or they're, working towards their goal. And it's like, dude, there's those situations where in hindsight, like, I don't know how that even happened. Like, there's no way I
I
could
think
have
yeah.
ever written
We've
that
definitely
up.
had several of those.
The stars
Good.
had to
You
align
just-
perfectly for that to have
You're
ever
like,
even happened,
"What?"
and it did.
Yeah.
I think
And
we've had
I never
plenty of
questioned that.
those.
You know, I would look back and I'm like, man, that was crazy. But, you know, I'm just grateful that it happened and it worked out. Let's
Yeah.
go.
100%. And I think that goes back to, you know, there's finding the good in everything too.
Yep.
Because if that's your mindset, even a misstep is still a path on the journey. You know,
Yes.
it's a step on that journey. And then, you know, you figure it out. It's okay to deviate if you're still headed in the general direction you want to go, right?
Dude, speaking of like heading in a direction, remember when we were officing, but we had your, so Hayden also likes cars. You also like
I
cars.
do.
You're working on a car project right now, truck project. But when we were in our previous office, he had a Mustang in his. I don't know why this reminded me of it, but he had a Mustang in our warehouse that we had to get out, and literally the door was like, you know, it's a 6-foot double door, I think, and we had to push his car through that double door when he was moving back to Houston, and yeah, I don't know why that side story just stuck in my mind of, you know, you said direction, but
I think the car was about 5'11" too. There was probably a half inch
seriously,
on
half
either
inch.
side.
We ended up scratching your car.
Yeah, just a little
But-
bit, but
Yeah.
it's
But
a
yeah,
memory.
you like cars. You're working on a truck right now.
Yeah.
How's that going?
It's good. It's, you know, I know you touched on hobbies a little bit earlier, and I think it's good to, you know, if you're constantly focused on work and it never turns off, it'll kind of drive you crazy, and probably the others around you are crazy too. So for me, I do like to have hobbies, and you know, tinkering on old cars is fun for me because it stretches me a little bit. Again, it's one of those things. I like to just make myself uncomfortable and getting used to that. And so I'm working on a truck project with my father-in-law. Actually, he said I could have it if I helped him rebuild it. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm on board. And but when I first saw it, you know, I had a lot of doubt because it was just in really, really rough shape. I mean, rust everywhere, and I had no experience welding or doing any rust repair. And it was one of those things where I remember looking at it and thinking, can I do this?
Yeah.
Right? And part of me, half of me was saying, no, you can't do this. You've never done this before. Don't take this on. And the other side of me was saying, this is your opportunity to learn, right? Yeah. And so thankfully I leaned into that, and I learned how to weld, and learned how to do body work, and I've learned a lot of things. I'm painting it myself, which I've never done before. And it's been a really fun project, and it kind of gets me, it still helps me develop that mentality that applies to really everything we do in life to continue to expand that comfort zone. But it also helps me just to decompress sometimes and say, I'm just focused on getting this bolt out, right? Trying to figure this out. And that's all you focus on, because, I mean, with work, there's always something to worry about, and there's always something going on, right?
Yep.
And so
so that's how you use that to decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
Detach.
Yeah, it's a bit of an outlet for me to just focus on being present with that, right? With that hobby. So that helps a lot. My wife's a therapist, so that helps too. So.
Yeah.
But
how often does multifamily make you lay on the couch and just, you know, talk to you? Go into a session.
We
with
do
your
frequent
wife.
sessions. Let me tell you. No, she's great. She's super supportive. I mean, she sees everything that I go through too, and having people that you work with, having partners that believe in you, that are there for you, I mean, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome, guys. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Went by
super fast.
Super quick, man. That's crazy. Yeah, we've already done an hour. Hayden, man, it's been awesome to see, you know, your journey, literally from, you know, start. And I know you know, it's only getting better. It's only getting bigger. So super. It's been amazing to see that, see it grow. And you know, again, thanks for being on the podcast today. Hopefully, you know, what you've shared helps, you know, someone out there who's looking to get into the industry, or just overall just mindset in general, right? So, but yeah, guys, Hayden, thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Thanks
Looking
for
forward to
having
the
me.
next one.
Yeah. Is where, you know, if anyone were to look to reach out to you, where could they like find you or message you? Or?
Sure. Yeah. Our website is great. So MomentumMultifamily.com is our website. And then, you know, my email is just Hayden at Momentum Multifamily. If people have questions, happy to help. You know, like I touched on, Dustin was kind enough to extend a hand down to me.
Yeah.
And so we're big advocates of doing the same for others. So we can all help each other out. We can all learn from each other. And, you know, somebody took a chance on me. So, you know, we're always happy to do the same.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you, dude. And if anyone needs to, you know, reach out to us, you can find us at sayanconstruction.com. Our social media is _JustSayan. If you've got any CapEx needs, renovation needs, senior living needs, all that stuff, we can definitely help you out. So, Hayden, thanks again, dude. Appreciate it. Great seeing you, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me.